So if irony had a festival, it would be right now. It would be happening today. And with Keith Ellison, we kind of see full circle what's happened now that Roy, last year there was the whole Roy Moore crap. Day and night you'd hear about Roy Moore talk to this 17-year-old back in what was it, 1978 or something. Talk to her, didn't bone her, didn't rape her, he didn't touch her, but talk to her, hit on her. I think he took a couple out on dates. Now, as the title of this video suggests, Roy Moore was one dumb motherfucker, and part of the reason why he lost in that humiliating race, and he deserved to lose, was because he didn't know how to talk like a normal people to anybody outside of his home state. Okay, I'm not going to say people in Alabama are dumb. I will say though that there are people who live in every state that don't know how to get along with people from outside of that state. Okay, there's plenty of examples. I don't know if I could think of an example from people. I mean, Bernie Kosar from over here in Ohio. People love him. He's a football player, former football player. Nice guy, nothing wrong with anything. I think he's had like some alcohol problems. But you listen to him on the air, anybody from out of state thinks that this person is, with all due respect, is, he should probably be resting with an ice pack on his head. Because he literally sounds like he's had a concussion. Same thing with Roy Moore. Now, Keith Ellison suffers from a different issue. It has nothing to do with being an idiot. Because I think Keith Ellison's a reasonably intelligent guy. And I think a lot of the allegations against him in the past sort of conflate different issues that have nothing to do with each other. Except for the fact that he's a lying piece of shit with regards to his ties to the Nation of Islam. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be tied to the Nation of Islam if you're running for Congress. I think anybody should be able to run for Congress no matter what they, I mean, obviously I don't want, sex offenders running for Congress, but that's not the same thing. Okay, but if you're a part of the Nation of Islam, that's not reason to disqualify you from running for Congress. I think not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but there was another athlete. There are a number of athletes who grew up in the Nation of Islam. So should they be disqualified from running for Congress? I think it's kind of it's a slippery slope at that point. Not that I'm for the Nation of Islam, far from it. But the issue is that you lie about it. The issue has nothing to do with whether it's good or bad to be in the Nation of Islam. The issue is whether you're lying about it. Because the fact was that he was running in a district where he did need Jewish voters, and obviously the Jewish voters and the Nation of Islam, which is a black supremacist organization under Louis Farrakhan, don't get along. Louis Farrakhan has said on multiple occasions that he hates Jews. And he's free to say that. And everything that he says, by the way, is still on YouTube. You can access everything he says on YouTube. And I was actually asked this week by somebody, I think it was in an interview that I was doing for somebody, for Sweet Speaks, I believe. And they asked me what's my opinion of that. I said, no, it's fine. Louis Farrakhan can have his ideas online. I use his I use his material in order to create my commentary too. So what's the problem with that? The issue is not that. The issue is the dishonesty. So when I see this story, which mirrors the Me Too effort against Roy Moore, I see the same issue. I see that possibly worse, because with Roy Moore, the allegations were really, really, they were expired. It's as if these people had waited for the perfect moment to come out against him. He'd run for statewide office for years back at the time. And I think Roy Moore, given enough of a time, first of all, those were charges that he would never have had to answer to in a court of law because the statute of limitations had expired. There was no proof against him. I think the most the most serious charge he was accused of was feeling up a girl in like 1979 or something. Now, we're not justifying anything that may or may have not happened in 1979. But the burden of proof is on the accuser. always. Okay, so with Keith Ellison, now they're saying most top Democrats and progressive groups reserve judgment on Keith Ellison allegations. A former girlfriend of the Minnesota congressman and attorney general candidate has accused him of emotional and physical abuse. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I don't want this to be super long. But there are a lot of things in here where, for example, the woman claims that there's a video that was on a thumb drive that she can't find now or whatever. Look, I'll admit that I think that these charges could very well be bullshit, because how do we know what the hell happened unless somebody else is keeping it and they're basically playing some sort of head fake game with Keith Ellison. And they're basically, but what I think the most plausible thing that could be happening, if these allegations are true, is that they're trying to blackmail him, force him to pay somebody some money for this to go away, and he's not doing it. So therefore, they're now releasing these allegations to the press, and who knows if we'll ever see this video, which maybe doesn't even exist. So I'll say this, Keith Ellison deserves a proper defense. He deserves to be basically, he deserves to have the same rights as any other defendant in the United States, whether it's a legal defendant or not. But the man is just a lying son of a bitch. So in 2017, Ellison had said, now I don't think that this had anything to do with Roy Moore being, this was before the sexual assault allegations had happened, but he said that Roy Moore is completely unfit to serve in the U.S. Senate. And Moore had already attacked Ellison in 2006 because he is Muslim. So I think Roy Moore was wrong about that too. People are going to come at me now. They're going to say, "Whoa, what are you trying to be all politically correct now?" No, I'm not trying to be politically correct. I'm trying to say that Roy Moore is an idiot. I'm trying to say that just because you don't like Muslims doesn't mean that any person can just say, run around and say, "Hey, fuck you, you towelhead," or something. But at the end of the day, these people are, they have to make a case, okay? You can't just go and say, well, Keith Ellison can't serve in the Congress because he believes in Allah or something. That's not the way that our system works. That's not the way that it's ridiculous already. It's ridiculous. We have to have I believe, okay? You can believe whatever the fuck you want. I think that people should be able to practice and profess their religion as they choose, as long as they don't interfere with the rights of others. And in the case of Roy Moore, that's not the way that he practices the Constitution. The man was an idiot. The man was basically, he was out of his damn mind. And I don't blame people for not voting for him. He deserved to lose that race. It doesn't mean he was guilty. And it doesn't mean that Keith Ellison is guilty now. But I'll say this. Just like Roy Moore deserved somebody to defend him back then, Keith Ellison deserves somebody to defend him now. But it's not going to be me. I'm going to be consistent. And consistency means that I'm not going to call him guilty, but I will still call him a lying bitch and somebody who doesn't have the balls to own up to the fact that, admit it, you served Louis Farrakhan, you believed in the Nation of Islam for years. That was your thing. And, if you would tell the truth to the people that they already know, maybe that would have avoided this situation. Okay, I'm not saying you should completely be an open book to everybody about everything going on in your life, but when people know something that you did for a long time that was part of your career, and then you try to spin it like, oh, I was in the Million Man March, that's about it. I didn't even know anything about Farrakhan or anything. That is That is just an insult to people's intelligence. Because the Million Man March was all about him. The Million Man March wasn't just some random event that happened out of nowhere. People know that you were involved in this organization in the Minneapolis area for years and years, Keith Ellison. So stop with the fucking bullshit already. Just admit what you did in the past. It's too late now, I guess, because there's now allegations that are even more unifying for his opposition. You see, it's one thing to be associated with Louis Farrakhan, somebody who people associate with, and literally, and then nothing happens to them. It would be the complete opposite situation if somebody was belonging to the Moonies or something. The media would make them look like some sort of lunatic because the Moonies don't necessarily have that much political power. They used to, but not as much as they used to today. However, if you're associated with the Nation of Islam, you are able to get elected to Congress. There's several congressmen who are elected in Indiana, in Illinois, in all sorts of seats all over the country because Louis Farrakhan basically gives the go ahead. Hey, vote for Andre Carson, vote for whoever it may be, Danny Davis, over in I think he's in South Side Chicago or something. So MoveOn.org says, we're deeply concerned about allegations regarding Keith Ellison. Our society must have absolutely no tolerance for domestic violence and hold everyone to the same standard. We'll closely monitor the situation as more facts come to light. Okay, that's a very cautious statement. I wonder if they said the same thing about Roy Moore. Okay. Let me see here. Here we go. Petition. Petition to be delivered to Roy Moore, Senate candidate. Sexual predators have no place in the U.S. Senate. Roy Moore must withdraw, and anyone who endorsed or promoted his candidacy must disavow him immediately. This was from, I believe it was started sometime in 2017, of course. All right. What else did they put? Impeach Roy Moore. Remove Chief Justice Roy Moore. Here's another one. Petitions, GOP. Investigate Roy Moore already. 68 signatures. Okay, where was the presumption of innocence then? There wasn't any. And by the way, I've said several times in this video that Roy Moore was a dumbass and deserved to lose. So it's not like I support him. I'm just saying that you should apply the same standard to everybody. You were calling for Roy Moore's head that whole winter. Who are some of these other people? I mean, this is just gonna this is literally like watching a bowling ball roll through a bunch of pins and hit a strike. You know, and I'm just saying the bowling ball is a scandal. The bowling ball isn't any particular person. Don't take it that way. The DNC, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Our Revolution, and so Our Revolution, which is Bernie Sanders' group, has not disavowed him yet. And Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat of New York, who led calls for the resignation of then Senator Al Franken, Democrat of Minnesota, declined requests for comment. The Progressive Change Campaign Committee, Credo Action, Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party Chairman Ken Martin, and spokespeople for House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi and Senator Bernie Sanders, a key Ellison ally, did not immediately respond to HuffPost's inquiry. So this is not, we're not talking about Fox News hunting these people down. This is the Huffington Post. This is not some sort of right-wing conspiracy. Yet. Don't worry, they'll spin it that way. Democracy for America, which was run by Howard Dean, one of many liberal groups that backed Ellison's run for chairman of the DNC, offered a statement affirming female accusers without commenting on the veracity of the claims by the ex-girlfriend, Karen Monahan, a Sierra Club organizer. So they're fence sitting. They're fence sitting. That's fine. You want to sit on the fence this time. Next time when it's a Republican, they're not going. By the way, when Republicans do this, they should also be held accountable too, but they shouldn't be run through the streets. I think both parties are full of shit. I mean, Blake Farenthold, a Republican, he used the Congressional Discretionary Fund in order to defend himself against sexual harassment claims too. Okay, that kind of means that you have shared blame. Him, John Conyers, a lot of these people are just full of crap. They go through life thinking, well, I'm an elected official, I serve the people, and therefore the people must pay for my legal bills. Democracy for America is not in a position to evaluate allegations made against a candidate in the closing hours of an election, but as an organization, we believe that every woman who tells her story deserves to be heard, said DFA spokeswoman Annie Weinberg. Domestic violence of any kind is unacceptable and has no place in our politics, period. Move On tweeted a statement saying it is deeply concerned about allegations regarding Keith Ellison. We will closely monitor this situation as more facts come to light. So I think that's it. What do you guys think? Look, I'm personally a little more interested in the story because I've written about Ellison, and and a lot of people have written about Ellison because the guy's just a train wreck. You look through these comments here on the Huffington Post, people are like, well, I mean, we already said that the burden of proof is on the accused now. It says, interesting, none of the other Me Too casualties were afforded the luxury of demanding more evidence or innocent until proven guilty. And then this woman said, I think people are sick of seeing good people taken down by, quote, allegations which are not proven or are questionable. Not every accuser is credible and not everyone is accused conveniently around election time is guilty. Well, I wonder if she said the same thing about Roy Moore, who, the guy, that all popped up around election time. I mean, that's true as well. And another thing that I saw was that this is also not the first time a woman has accused Ellison of abusive behavior. Amy Alexander alleged in October 2006 that he acted like a little dictator during an affair they had in the mid-2000s and that he shoved her during a confrontation in which he was trying to silence her. He subsequently secured a restraining order against her. So that was when he was married to his first wife. So he was having an affair against his first wife. He was running for Congress. Okay, and then he divorces his wife in sometime in the 2000s. Actually, I think I saw that the divorce records show that he got divorced in 2012. And then this person wants to claim, oh, I'm Mr. Integrity. Everybody's like making shit up about me. I wasn't really around with Farrakhan. I'm not like beating women or whatever. Look, yes, you're entitled to presumption of innocence. It doesn't mean that people can't call you out for being a lying piece of crap. That's about it. I hope you guys like this. I will share this on Reddit. And please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment when it uploads. Hold on. Can't seem to stop the stream here.